We live in a world where almost everything is treated as information, but rarely as energy. We are taught to accumulate data, repeat concepts, and consume content, but not to activate the true power that exists behind knowledge. And that's precisely where the trap of the matrix begins, because the matrix is not just an external control system, it's an internal state of unconsciousness, a way of living on autopilot, reacting to reality instead of understanding it. When we understand that knowledge is not just something that is known, but something that vibrates, everything changes. Knowledge is organized energy, and energy, when consciously accessed, transforms reality. The matrix works by keeping people busy, tired, distracted, and emotionally reactive. Excess information, but a lack of deep understanding. The system is not afraid of informed people. It fears conscious people, because active consciousness transforms information into inner power. When knowledge remains only in the mind, it is weak. When it descends into consciousness, it becomes active energy. That's where awakening begins. All true knowledge carries a frequency. It alters how you perceive the world, how you interpret events, and how you react to situations. Therefore, after certain understandings, you never go back to being who you were before. Not because you decided to change, but because your perception has expanded, and expanded perception generates freedom. The matrix begins to fail the moment you start seeing patterns where you previously saw chance, structures where you previously saw chaos, and conditioning where you previously thought there was free choice. The problem is that we have been trained from an early age to confuse knowledge with memorization. Memorizing formulas, repeating phrases, consuming books and videos without internal integration. But knowledge that doesn't generate internal change isn't knowledge. It's just accumulation. Real knowledge generates discomfort, breaks beliefs, dismantles illusions, and demands responsibility. It asks you to abandon the victim position and assume the role of a conscious observer of your own life, and that is exactly what the matrix tries to prevent. When we say that knowledge is energy, we are talking about something very specific. Each idea carries a vibration. Liberating ideas raise the frequency of consciousness. Limiting ideas contract it. Therefore, the type of knowledge you consume shapes your internal state. Those who live only on superficial content remain trapped on the surface of reality. Those who delve into structuring knowledge begin to see what lies behind appearances. The matrix cannot be sustained when you see beyond the narrative. Leaving the matrix doesn't mean abandoning the physical world, work, or society. It means ceasing to live unconsciously within them. It's continuing in the game, but without being manipulated by it. And this only happens when knowledge ceases to be something external and becomes incorporated. From that point, you begin to perceive how emotions are used as control mechanisms, how fear paralyzes, how guilt imprisons, and how distraction keeps everything functioning exactly as it is. Access to the energy of knowledge begins with observation. Before trying to change anything, you need to observe how you react. What irritates you? What distracts you? What tires you mentally? What keeps you busy but doesn't lead you anywhere? The matrix feeds on unconscious reaction. When you react unconsciously, you give away energy. When you observe, you retain power. Consciousness is the first break from the invisible prison. The second step is learning to filter what enters your mind. Not all information deserves your attention. Attention is vital energy. What you watch, read, and listen to shapes your mental field. When you consume only content that reinforces fear, scarcity, and conflict, you vibrate in that state. When you consume knowledge that expands, questions, and deepens, your frequency changes. And when your frequency changes, your reality begins to respond differently. This is not a metaphor, it's energetic coherence. The third step is transforming knowledge into internal practice. Knowledge without application becomes intellectual vanity. Practice begins when you use what you learn to adjust your internal posture. Breathe before reacting. Question pre-established narratives. Observe thoughts as events, not as absolute truths. Consciously choose where to place your emotional energy. Each of these small practices is an act of escaping the matrix because it breaks the automatic pattern. Over time, something interesting happens. You begin to realize that many of your beliefs weren't your own. They were inherited, programmed, repeated. The system works like this. It implants ideas before you have enough awareness to question them. Awakened knowledge does the opposite. It dissolves these ideas. And when a belief falls, an internal prison is undone. This generates freedom, but also responsibility. Because now you know. And whoever knows can no longer pretend not to see. The matrix loses power when you understand that your internal state creates your external experience. Not in the simplistic sense of positive thinking, but in the profound sense of coherence. A confused mind creates a confused life. A fragmented consciousness creates a fragmented reality. When you organize your mind through knowledge, your life begins to organize itself as well. This doesn't happen overnight, but it happens inevitably. Continuous practice is about keeping the mind in a state of conscious learning, not compulsive consumption. Learning to integrate, learning to apply, learning to see deeper. Each new understanding gained is like reclaiming a part of your energy that was previously held hostage by the system. That's why true knowledge is unsettling. It removes the comfort of ignorance and delivers the clarity of responsibility. The result of this process is awakening. Not a mystical awakening, distant from reality, but a lucid awakening. You continue living in the world, but you are no longer dominated by it. You understand the games, recognize the traps, and choose more consciously. You begin to act less on impulse and more on intention. The matrix still exists, but it no longer controls you in the same way. Because now you have accessed the energy of knowledge. And those who access this energy no longer live on autopilot. They live in a state of presence. In the end, leaving the matrix is not escaping the system. It's leaving unconsciousness. It's remembering that knowledge was not made to be accumulated, but to awaken. And when it is accessed as energy, it not only informs, it transforms. Take advantage and subscribe to the channel. Leave your like, activate the bell, and share with someone who can evolve with this message. Thank you for walking with us today.